Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Gods, Monsters, and Libraries. I am going to be giving you a virtual book talk. My name is Brian Wilkinson, and today the series we're going to focus on is Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. This is an amazing series. If you're into mythology, if you like the supernatural, but without all the, some of the romance stuff that bogs down other books like Twilight, this is the series for you. It follows the main character, Percy Jackson, who one day wakes up to discover that he is in fact half God. Yeah. So it's really exciting stuff for Percy. He's 12 years old and he's only had trouble at school and home. Uh, he's been labeled as having dyslexia, ADHD. He has trouble getting along with friends, and generally he doesn't really have many friends. And it's kind of he's lonely. He doesn't quite fit in. But all of that changes for him one day. One of his teachers that he always thought was a little bit strange suddenly changes shape and turns into this monster and attacks him. Percy manages to defend himself and defeat this monster, and realizes in the whole fallout that there's something very different about him. So what happens then is Percy gets the attention of this place called Camp Half-Blood. And what Camp Half-Blood does is it gathers all these children of the gods and gathers them all together to train them to be heroes. Much like Hercules and Theseus and all of these other major characters throughout the Greek pantheon who became heroes because they were children of the gods. So Percy goes to Camp Half-Blood. And at Camp Half-Blood there are not just children like himself, and he's the son of Poseidon, the sea god, but there are also other campers there who have godly parents. There's Ares, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hephaestus, and he even meets children of Zeus and Hades, so there's a huge collection of characters that Percy runs into, and they're all like him. And it turns out that having ADHD and dyslexia and everything else is just part of it, because they are so supercharged with all these powers that they're not strange, they're not slow. They're different. Different in a good way. Different in a really special way that sets them apart from everyone else around them. So it's fantastic. So Percy learns to not only overcome prejudice, but to really sort of own who he is and take charge, and he becomes a hero in his own right. Now, Book 1, The Lightning Thief, is about this moment where Percy discovers that he's a god, and he discovers all these amazing powers. And he and his friends, Annabeth, who was the daughter of Athena, and Grover, who was the satyr, which is like a half-man, half-goat, go on this adventure to find out who stole Zeus's lightning bolt. Zeus is considered like the biggest god there is. He's got a lightning bolt, he commands the skies, and someone has stolen this powerful master bolt that controls all of this lightning. And Zeus has basically said he's going to go to war with his brothers Hades and Poseidon unless this bolt can be found. So all the gods are in tumult, and what happens is it falls on the heroes, in this case Percy and his friends, to go out and solve this mystery to prevent any war from happening. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's quite exciting. On his journey, Percy discovers that the world of myth is actually alive and well. And even though we study all these mythology stories and we think, okay, it happened back in ancient Greece, what the book suggests is that as the balance of power in the world shifted from over in Greece and England to the United States and North America, that the Greek gods and goddesses kind of moved with them. That the world just kind of shifts around and the myths adapt. So Mount Olympus, which was always sort of a place that was special, it wasn't actually a mountain, is now above the Empire State Building. You can access it, through a special elevator in the Empire State Building that takes you up to the 600th floor. So as Percy, Annabeth, and Grover move through the United States looking for the Master Bolt, they run into all these heroes and myths and legends and monsters from Greek mythology. In Book 1 alone, they run into the Minotaur, who was originally a prisoner in the labyrinth, Medusa, with the Gorgon with a head full of snakes, and if you look directly at her, you turn to stone. So they have to use some pretty interesting tips and tricks that they picked up from their knowledge of studying in school in order to defeat these monsters. So along the way, they run into other gods and goddesses and have crazy good adventures, but it's a really exciting series. Book 1 isn't the end of it either. There's Book 2, The Sea of Monsters, Book 3, The Titan's Curse, Book 4, Battle of the Labyrinth, and Book 5, which just came out, The Last Olympian, which brings the whole series to a climax. Now, it's not that, for those of you going, oh, there's only 5 books, what am I going to do next? How will I live without him? Well, Rick Riordan is not done there. He's got a new series coming out, The Red Pyramid, which kind of follows Egyptian mythology. So what Rick Riordan has done for Greek mythology, he's now doing for Egyptian mythology. So Ra, the sun god, and Anubis, and all these other gods. It's really, really good. But he's not done with the Percy Jackson universe either. He's got a new series out called The Heroes of Olympus. And what this series does is it actually follows a new generation of Half-Blood heroes as they go out and on these quests for the gods. Now, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover aren't main characters in the series, but author Rick Riordan has promised that they will, in fact, show up. Now, once you get through Book 1, guess what? There's a movie. Oh, yes. And it's not bad either. I really quite enjoyed it. But you can see the movie of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. You can read the 5-book series. You can follow up with the new series. You can read his other stuff. There's lots of Percy Jackson stuff to do. And if you like all that stuff, well, guess what? It's based in a lot of fact. Well, depending on what you believe. And we'll get to those books a little bit later. But everything in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, you can read about in a lot more detail. So make sure that you absolutely stay tuned. Thanks a lot. I'm Brian Wilkinson for Gods, Monsters, and Libraries.